Hey, hey. How are we? How are we doing? Nettie here. Again. In this transcendent love space. Coming to take us beyond to transcend into love with and within ourselves. Again, I thought I had this together. Did not. The thing is that I be wanting some light and I be wanting that sun to shine on this face. But also, I be wanting y'all to actually be able to see me at the same time. So, we're gonna work through it. We're gonna work through it. Anyway, I hope that you are great today. I hope that you are fantabulous. I am. I am. But I want to share and talk with you about some of the things that we go through when we're trying to change, and just some downloads that I've been getting about that. And even feeling it, I've been feeling this energy of people that are struggling with the changes that are needed and necessary to go on to the next level in their lives. But it's so important to realize that we often get stuck because we are judgmental of our process. When we are judging the things that we feel, we don't leave any room for improvement. The things that you judge, you often build up ill feelings and emotions toward. So it's extremely important to be gentle and to be kind with yourself. Just be very gracious. The more gracious you learn to be with yourself, the more gracious you'll learn to be with other people, and the less judgmental you'll be able to be with them as well. You recognize and begin to see yourself in other people because everyone is your mirror and your teacher. The things that are very frustrating that you deal with when you're encountering and dealing with other people, it's really just feedback. It's data of that person as your mirror. You're being frustrated by things in that person that frustrates you about yourself. We rarely ever see it that way, but that is the reality of this life and how this life works. With that being said, nobody comes into your aura, into your field, into your frequency that is not supposed to be there. Every single person that you ever encounter is a version of yourself that is there to show you and teach you how to navigate that space and that place, that version of yourself. So you have to begin to ask questions and be curious about all of the people that are within your frequency. What version of this is me? Even just to take it a little bit further, just because we all identify with love, we all consider love, and we want to be loved and to love. So, more often, those are the more difficult relationships. And the thing that you often feel like you love so much about the other person is really just the person that they cause you to be. You are really experiencing a, a version of yourself that you are when you're with them that you love. So we have to begin to work on cultivating that love that we often want to express with and toward another person in a romantic sense, even toward ourselves. We have to learn to be so much more patient with ourselves on a regular basis. um, Spirit was showing me um, versions of me in the past. And I say in the past because right now he's in the past. But there is still some part of me that is this way, and I know. If you consider the things you can do on a whim, almost magically and miraculously, whenever you're dating somebody, you can pull some shit together right quick. In the meantime and in between time, you can do it. You could be living in a shambled mess, right? And this is on both sides. This is men and women. But if that woman or if that man of interest calls and says, I'm coming through, it don't even really matter the nature of the visit. It ain't got to be nothing extra. But the cleaning that you were supposed to do for yourself and just for your overall mental health in your space that you've been putting off for 2 months miraculously gets done in 10 minutes just to leave you some little space. We'll say 30 minutes. You can do it. You do it. You'll pull this whole thing together. The whole living arrangement in the area where this person is going to visit is going to be pulled together. And you mess around and hop in the shower. You you mess around and shave your whole entire body in all of that time. And while entertaining on one front, it just shines a light and shows us where we need to be treating ourselves better. Because you tidying up your space, cleaning up the area that you have to live in, would have helped you mentally and emotionally. You don't even recognize sometimes how those things have an impact on your mental health and your overall wellness. But instead, we wait for another occasion. You are the occasion. You are the occasion. No other person. Nobody else should be popping up in 5 minutes and you can grab it all together, but you couldn't have done that for yourself. We just gotta be better. But the better we are to all of that said, the better we are to ourselves, the better we're able to treat ourselves when we're going through rough patches. Many of you are going through so many different varieties of things, and some of it is almost unbearable, and you feel like you're not growing. You feel like you're stuck in the middle. You're at this new place. It's obviously new, but you got these struggles. Some of the struggle is new, but it's kind of old at the same time. You're struggling with the struggle. You're struggling with the new struggle. But there's a version of the old you that is still there, that is requiring compassion to be able to move away from these traumas and dramas and versions of yourself that you no longer have need of. So, in order to disarm, you have to show yourself an abundance of grace and try to extend to yourself the measure of understanding that you would try to extend to somebody else with your empathetic self. Many of you are very empathetic and the most empathetic where other people are concerned, but you do not show yourself the same measure of compassion and empathy. We've got to do better there. You are the most important person in your life. So, all that said, that is why it is difficult in this time that you are in, because you're stuck judging yourself. Yeah, it's tough. It's a place that you have not visited before. You haven't been here. And that is signs of growth in and of itself. You have elevated, therefore, you have a different problem that cannot be solved by the old version of you. But that is the version of you that is trying to show up to solve the problem. You can't get there from there. That old you will have you back to the place where you came from. That's not what we're trying to do. We don't want to do that. Otherwise, why choose to change? There's no point. There's no significance in that if we're going to use the old tactics and the old measure and the old mindsets to try to tackle the new problems. Now, it is a natural response because that is self-preservation. And not only is it self-preservation, we observe all things from the past until we get a really good rein on how to create our future. And you cannot create the future from the past. But the past is the only reference point that you have because it's the only part of this life that you've lived. So you have to bear that in mind when you're going forward and you're thinking of this struggle and how much. Don't fight against it. Try to sit and reason as you would with anybody else. You get curious about whatever their issue is. What's the problem? What do you feel like you're struggling with? Why do you feel like you're struggling with that? Write about it. You have to parent yourself away from the past traumas and things that you've gone through. And it does not matter at what stage in life you are, the more we grow, the more we see some of those old things that still need the parent to pop up for. It's just like if you have kids, it's just like that. Some of you have grown kids, and every now and then they call you because they got a problem, but they can't see how to work through that thing on their own. The mature version that they know to be their voice of reason is needed here. And they realize that. So they call you. Hey, mom. Hey, dad. Listen, I need you to, what do I do right here? In that way, we have to show up for ourselves. There's a kid on the inside, and that kid is still suffering at times with those things that it has endured from childhood. Did you know that much of the issues that we deal with as adults stem from the traumas from childhood? They kind of get stuck in there, for the lack of a better way to put it at the moment, or a more understandable way. So often when you're going about life, you don't really even think about them until something happens, something triggers you. And all of a sudden, you feel a way. And then you're responding a way. And you like all out of character. Well, that's because that stuff is deep down in there. It's underneath all the stuff that we put on top of it as adults. We've made some of it better. We've dealt with some of it, but some of it is deep, deep, deep down in there. Because it's deep, 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 deep down in there, it takes a lot of deep, 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 deep healing in addressing, confronting, being compassionate about, being empathetic about, being curious about your shovel. You got to take it and get all that stuff up out of there. But it takes time. You didn't get all that stuff in there overnight, so you're not going to get it out overnight. So my encouragement to you is be patient. It's hard. It's hard. I know. It is a difficult thing to go through. Whatever it is. different things for all of you, I'm sure. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Actually, it's already okay. It's only not okay in our minds. And even that is okay. The two things will exist simultaneously. We want there to only be one. But until we get into this more, I want to say more healed, but until we grow beyond the old mindset, it's still very much a part of us. And there is a need for acceptance of every single part of you. If you accept it, you don't judge it. If you don't judge it, then it can move about more freely and it can go on instead of being trapped inside. When we're judging it, it just gets trapped inside and it's just swirling about like a little Tasmanian devil in there. And it will ruin you if you let it. The encouragement is that you have control. You're not fighting it. You're not trying to kick against it. You're not trying to suck back up all the ill things you say or, get rid of the thoughts that you had that were maybe unpleasing or thoughts that you feel like you shouldn't have had. The change is in not embracing those things as facts or as something that just has to be. Okay, it's tough. Yeah, I feel a way. Yeah, I do. That's true. But also, what else do I know to be true? It's okay. It's okay. There are other things that are going on that are going well. That's not the only thing that's going on in your life. In fact, there are more things going right and going well in your life than that are going wrong. You just have to be willing to see them. You are not a victim. So don't get wrapped up in victimhood. Victimhood is much more pleasing because then somebody owe you something and it's somebody else's fault. And you still judge yourself from that space. Let's not. Don't do that to yourself. You are worthy and far more deserving than so much more than that. There's no reason. There's no because you're the dopest. You deserve all the kindness from yourself and from everybody around you. We often talk about, just showing people how to treat you. This is major work in that direction. You're tired. Yes. You want to be there already. Me too, big dog. I want to be there already. I want to be in my next timeline too. But the reason you are not is because you have not aligned with it yet. You're not going to get nothing that you're not prepared for. And so, before the oldest version of you shows up to the new place with the new you and tears all that shit down, we got work to do right here. We got work to do. It's gradual progression. We're all always going to be healing forever. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with any of us. It's just life, excuse me. It's a bunch of shit going on. Always. And then back then, you got some shit you don't even know up underneath all the other stuff that you think is, that you done worked on. Every now and then you find out it's just deeper than that. That's what that trigger is. You just it's in there, and you don't know why you feel the way you feel. You just know that made you feel a way. That's because something that is in there from childhood then came back to the surface. I'll tell you this. This is a practical example. Um, what example I want to use? I don't really have a specific example in mind, but I'll say this. If you get really curious about your feelings and your emotions and what's going on in the moment, it's so much data there. So much data. Somebody does something to you. Oh, I do have an example. Somebody does something to you, or you feel like they've done something to you. It's more often that you feel like it. Sometimes it didn't even, it wasn't done the way you perceived it to have been done. But because that sore spot is in there, it comes up. Example. In one of my shorts, I talk about how I sold a vehicle, right? Just to make room and make space for this new place and my new abundance and the wealth that is to come. The season was up for that vehicle. So, sold to this guy, sold in a very unconventional way. Maybe conventional, just not done as often as a traditional sale. Well, he is a busy guy. So he's making payments to me, but he's mostly unresponsive. Because he's unresponsive, that makes me feel away, annoyed, frustrated, anxious, even. I don't like it. I don't like the way it makes me feel. So one day I sat and I'm like, I don't like this. I'm questioning everything, but Spirit led me that direction, gave me the word, such characteristic signs and synchronicities that led up. Everything about it was Spirit. But I started to question everything because of how I felt, because of how those instances made me feel. And so I'm like, Spirit, like, what's up? Was that you or did I make that up? Like you said, and I know what I hear. But that old stuff will make you question some stuff. It'll make you question all that you know to be true because it feels more real. And Spirit's like, well, what did he do even? And I'm like, he's not responding. He's unresponsive. I've reached out to him so many times. And so Spirit's like, well, has he missed a payment? And I'm like, no. But the payment way that I would want to be set up is not set in place. And he's like, not responding. And Spirit's like, but has he missed a payment? I'm like, no, everything is on time. Low key, even paid up. And so Spirit's like, well, what's the real issue? Why do you feel the way that you feel? And I'm like, shit, that's what I came to find. That's what I'm asking you. So I sat with it a while and I'm like, I don't like to be ignored. And I'm like, why is this such a big deal? This is getting long, but those who's supposed to stay will stay. And I'm like, man, okay, he's ignoring me. I don't like to be ignored. And so spirit is like, it's deeper than that even. And I'm like, what you mean? What you mean? And introspective me, it's not difficult for me to get there because this is just me all day. All I do is introspect. But I'm like, okay, so I feel unheard. I feel unseen. What's the problem with that? Is it him? Nope. What is it really? He's reminding me of when I first felt unseen and unheard as a child. My issue is not even with him. He just is the mirror for something that still exists there. He's just showing me and some things that I need to work on in this new space in going forward. These are the, mind you, these are the things that I asked for. I want to be able to help people in this way. I want to be able to give people chances to do things that traditionally they otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to do. I want to be the lender. I asked for this. And now that I have it, Shorty is concerned. Why? Because I got what I wanted. And it's not necessarily that I wasn't ready for it, but it still means that I have to address some things that I felt like, or maybe I felt like they were dealt with, or maybe at a certain point of growth where you haven't had a test for that area, all is healed. All is always healed until you have a test, but you don't even know if it's really and truly healed until you get the test. But that's what elevation is about. That's what expansion is about. That's where them hard and rough and difficult times come from. Because baby, look, how you work through it without working through it. You don't. You don't do it. Sound good. Sound like it's a viable plan. It could work out. It don't. It don't work like that. So yeah, all of that to say, and using myself as a personal example, the level up be real. In the struggle in that level up, also be real. But it's real because it produces real change and it produces your ability to get to all that you desire in life. You got to be able to handle it when you get there. And really, all of it is a blessing. They say it's either a blessing or a lesson. It's the same thing because the lesson is a blessing. The blessing is the lesson. It's all blessing you to be able to thrive in the next place. We're moving on from survival. We're no longer needing to be in survival mode. We are disarming. We are moving on to thriving. So baby, listen. These blows, they feel low. But they take you to a place to actually be able to deal with the things that need to be dealt with within yourself to be the best version of yourself. You come out so much better. Your future self is rooting for you. You gonna get it. You gonna get it. But be patient, be kind, journal it, write it down. Write down how you feel. Cry it out. Listen, it's all right. It's all right. But when you think about it, you just think, damn, I asked for this, huh? When you come to a more sober and less emotional place, you'd be able to laugh about it. I asked for it. But you know what is so beautiful? Just to be able to sit and think about it and just commune with spirit about it. All the answers that you need are inside you. That spirit component has every answer that you need. So when you go searching, I was about to mix that with seeking because that was going into a scripture, is what it feels like. Seeking you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you. I'm getting the feeling that I am being viewed by a lot of, I don't, some of y'all are probably religious and others are probably not, because I can't imagine that I'll be real palatable for real religious people. But whoever you are, um, it seems apparent to me that scripture is something that resonates very well with you. Otherwise, it wouldn't even be coming up in my spirit. Cause child, I ain't gonna hold you. What I don't be using on a regular basis is scripture. But I'm a willing vessel, so however the message gotta come, however you best receive it to get the help that you need, baby. It's us. We in this thing, loving, living, and growing together. I just want y'all to know too that this whole get up I got going on, raggedy, right? Because it's for y'all. I love y'all, and I want to be able to get a message to y'all. But also, who wear clothes at their house? Child Sultan had to throw on something. I'm looking like I throwed on something. Anyway, take care. Take great care. And position yourself to thrive. You got this. Listen. And Spirit said, check your track record. You ain't you ain't lost yet. As long as you still here, you ain't lost yet. Your track record say you win. You've always won. You've learned some lessons and still made it to the other side. Be great. And as much as I could just keep on going talking to you, I think Spirit has gotten the message through. Ain't no need to tussle with yourself. Not in that way. It damn sure seemed like a tussle. Cause them thoughts, don't get it twisted. I know what them thoughts will do. But it's so important just to not resonate with them. Or not to allow them to I was gonna say marinate. Uh don't let them have free reign. Go on and do something else. Do something that produces something that feel better. Do something else. Get your mind on something else that feel better. It will return. It will keep trying to return. But every time you can turn your attention to something else. Sometimes it's a dialogue going back and forth. Gee, I thought I was done. Sometimes it's a dialogue going back and forth within yourself. This is hard. No, it's not. Or this is hard. You right. But we always get through, huh? I can't tell you how often. I told you I spend all my time in introspection, so I'm a thinker. If I can't do nothing else, I can think. But if I'm not careful, like many of you, your thoughts will carry your ass on somewhere. And you will begin, but this is why you got to be careful. Because you will begin to manifest those old results if you begin creating a story around the thoughts. If you give those thoughts free reign, and this is not to scare you and this is not to make this harder, But if you give them free reign, they begin to you begin to ruminate on them. And then you begin to create a story around them, connecting your emotions to them. And you start manifesting some bullshit that you don't want. We're not going to do that no more. We only manifesting the things that we want. So we're going to make up a superfluous, is what Spirit is saying, story that's extra, that has all the things that we want as an outcome, and we're going to create that. And when you do that and you start to live in that, you're not creating that as a spectator. You put yourself in there. You feel the feelings that you feel having accomplished the thing. And that begins to manifest your reality. And some of that fear about the future goes away because the fear is no longer due to the fact that you have a planned future. Generally, fear comes from the past because the only reference point you have is the past. That's all you got to work with when you're not actively cultivating and creating within your imagination the future that you want. If you know the future, then you know you won't have nothing to be worried about. But if you don't, that's concerning. Plan out your future. What do you want your future to look like? Fear is false evidence appearing real, evidenced by past events. How many times you done made up a whole dramatic scene for some shit and ain't none of it ever happened? You done stretched yourself to the max. Behind the story you done made up, none of it happened. Or other times it did. And then you like, see, I knew this was gonna happen. You did. You planned for it. You created it. Of course you knew it was gonna happen. You should have known because you connected all the dots. You made it an emotional experience. You shouldn't have expected anything else but that because you are a creator. You are a manifesting genius. So, yes, this does always happen. Yes, you knew it because you created it. But know that toward and plan for the positive things in that way. Plan for your magical and majestic future that way. That is how you change your life. But it starts with accepting that you are both spirit and man. That man part get loud sometimes. But that spirit part is more powerful. And it's a life hack. It's an override for the man. Hit the button. Sometimes you gotta hit the goddamn button. Hit the override. Anyway, I went on another several minutes on that, but I'm glad I was pressed to expound upon that a bit. But anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you right here. Love and lights. Um, Go ahead on and be great. Till next time. I think. Or not.